When George Osborne left the Treasury this morning for what was his fourth big financial statement in the last 12 months, he had two foxes he needed to shoot. Both foxes were prowling uncomfortably close to him and both were of his own making. So when he stood up in the Commons, he pulled out his rifle and took aim at his unpopular plan to drastically scale back tax credits.
I've listened to the concerns, I hear and understand them, and because I've been able to announce today an improvement in the public finances, the simplest thing to do is not to phase these changes in, but to avoid them altogether.
There are many words for what he did here, among them U-turn, capitulation, surrender. Whatever it wasn't what he promised in his budget in July. Then the Chancellor said he wanted cuts of £4.4 billion. Today's U-turn means he will have to spend more on welfare than planned for the next 2 years. But from 2018, tax credit claimants moved to the new universal credit system, which will be less generous for new claimants. The backdrop to the statement and the accompanying spending review was a much more rosy outlook for the public finances, from higher tax receipts and lower interest payments on our debt.
It means a £27 billion improvement in our public finances over the forecast period.
And with that wiggle room, he was able to shoot another fox, the planned cuts to police budgets.
Now is the time to back our police and give them the tools to do the job. I am today announcing that there will be no cuts in the police budget at all.
In the wake of the terrorist murders in Paris, the big surprise then was what he chose not to cut. Elsewhere, the Chancellor confirmed England's NHS budget would increase from £101 billion to £120 billion by 2020. After years of freezes, local government will be able to charge 2% on council tax bills to plug the growing hole in social care budgets. And the VAT on sanitary products, the so-called tampon tax, can't be abolished, he said, but he will spend the revenue on women's charities. The Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, then responded for the first time to the Chancellor's statement.
Today, the Chancellor has been forced into a U-turn on his tax credits. And I want to congratulate the members in this House on all sides who made this happen.
And then he chose to mock George Osborne for recently cozying up to the Chinese, producing, to the evident unease around him, the book containing the writings of Communist leader Chairman Mao.
I brought him along Mao's little red book. Let me quote. Let's quote from Mao. Rarely done in this chamber.
So the Shadow Chancellor literally stood at the dispatch box and read out from Mao's little red book. Oh look, it's his personal signed copy.
Some Labour MPs may conclude that wasn't a great move on a day when George Osborne had to dig himself out of a hole. Chris Shipp, ITV News.